And welcome to Inside Chats 22. It's great to have you all here. It's our first of the year. So yeah, we do plan for this year to have 5-6 events. So I hope to see you again. But yeah, pleasure to have you here today. We have an amazing guest today. We are going to chat, of course, about AI. It feels like wherever I turn, AI is last 2-3 years, and it feels like it's going to be like there for some time. But yeah, I love how my older friends have an internal name for them. They call it all or something like. They have that already internal names for AI. But yeah, that's great. So as usual, we're going to have Q&A at the end. And today as well, we are going to give the book. So just to show you the book, the big prize. So yeah, nice research book. It comes with a signature as well, so from myself. So yeah, the best question will win the book. Feel free to use the AI as well, just to add to it. But yeah, that's for the Q&A. And yes, about today, Lynn is going to speak all about leading research through the AI shift, which comes in a great time as well. So yeah, Lynn, it's great to have you here. And can we start a bit of intro about your career and where have you worked? Yes. Until now.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Linh Slater, and I'm a research leader. For the last 16 years, I've been helping companies innovate through customer insights. So whether it is automotive at Jaguar Land Rover, consumer products at Dyson, or financial services at NatWest, I've really built and scaled research teams. So whatever we're building is built with true customer behavior and customer insights. So we're always building the right thing for true customer needs.
Amazing. Okay, so you had a long career. What have been some defining things for you throughout the career?
So I started my career actually as a human factors specialist. I worked right after graduation. I worked in healthcare. So going into healthcare spaces and really figuring out how do we make this safer for patients and the staff, everything from the macro of the building, the spaces, the equipment, but down to the micro, like what's the flow of information, how do patients move through the space, and really how do we have better outcomes for everyone? That's where I started it, but I knew in my hearts of hearts that I loved being at the forefront of technology and human behavior. So after 2.5 years in industry, I decided to go for my master's. So I could somehow, I felt that if I got a master's, it would open up doors to R&D somehow. And the UK is very, very famous for their human factors and ergonomics and HCI. So in 2012, I decided to come to the UK. It was a toss-up between Loughborough University or London, it was another place in London. I ended up at Loughborough, and it really did open up the doors so I could work in R&D. I worked at Jaguar, where I got to kind of define what does the future of intelligent vehicles, what is that going to be like, and how do we build toward our technology for that. And then I moved to Dyson, where I got to lead the consumer science team in all kinds of very, very top secret stuff. One of them was AI in, hair care devices. And then I moved over to financial services, something I never thought I'd do. When they offered me to interview, I actually said no because I want to stay in R&D. But then the HR person from NatWest was very persistent, and he said, no, listen to me. We're trying to hire a lot of outsiders, people that don't have financial services experience, so they can come in and kind of change the way we're working, because we were kind of trying different things. So the role was to set up the research function in commercial banking. They had never had a permanent researcher ever in the company's history. So I came on to set up the research department, and how do we get to actually speak with business customers, because it's very hard and complicated to reach them, and how do we reach them so we can create products that actually meet their needs. So I did that for commercial, and then I moved over to retail banking, which is what we all have in our pockets for whatever banking needs we have. So I think, sorry, I didn't answer the question. I just
that's a lot of defining moments.
I think I have two despite like the companies I've worked with, I think two super defining moments was one at Jaguar Land Rover. I was lucky enough to have a sponsor. So it was somebody like a very senior leader, like decades further in his career than mine. He wanted to sponsor me. So that just means that I want to help you find the next opportunity for yourself. So I think that was pivotal because it was somebody that believed in me and had so much experience, like gave me this visibility to upcoming opportunities. And I think just having someone believe in you, that was a huge halo effect for the rest of my career. And the second thing was, while I was at Jaguar Land Rover, there obviously, engineering is not very female centric and there's not a lot of female engineers. So they were always looking for like, how do we kind of nurture this community? So they sponsored this entrepreneurship program that was getting set up. Cambridge and Oxford universities, they were joining forces to create an entrepreneurship program for postdocs from those universities to launch their first startup, and they wanted industry facilitators. So I wanted to do it, but actually I was too scared because I didn't feel like I was good enough for Oxford and Cambridge. But I talked to my friends and my colleagues and my husband, and they're like, just go for it. So I applied, I got in, and that was a super defining moment because I got to meet all these incredible women, scientists, engineers, mathematicians, physicists, and I got to see them grow through this entrepreneurship program. So although the core premise of the program was to launch a startup, so here's your network, here's how you get venture capital, all those kind of things, but the fundamental thing about the program was showing these women like how to define success on their own terms. So being exposed to that, seeing all these women grow and go on to do amazing things, being around amazing, incredible, authentic leaders, I think that completely changed the trajectory of my career. And every time I volunteered for that program, something amazing and big has happened in my career. And it's just something about being around incredibly inspiring people that like just kind of gives you this invisible nudge to take a risk.
Gives you the push,
to
surroundings
push yourself.
and sponsor.
And that's quite a big risk that you've taken, moving from, I guess, sector to sector, especially into banking. But when you also said that you created a whole team from scratch, how did you navigate that without having that sector, that vertical expertise?
Yeah, I think I just remember it as every new industry is like this very, very steep learning curve. But we have to remember as insight professionals, we're just naturally curious and lifelong learners. I'm sure many people here that, gave up their Tuesday to come learn something new. We're just always trying to learn and explore. So I think although it's hard and it's very steep, you have the muscles to learn. You have the muscles to research and understand your surroundings. And then you have the muscles to know what it takes to do great research, right? So all those things together like kind of set you up for success.
I see. And is there a framework that you followed in building that team? Is there a tool that you brought over? Is there let's call it a way of working with internal stakeholders that you brought on from your prior careers?
I would say let's always utilize our stakeholder management and interview skills. So go out there, build your network and understand what actually people need. So when I started in commercial banking, the number one thing people needed was like, how do we talk to customers? Because it's taking months and it's a huge headache. So it was very clear what the number one problem was, which was access to niche participants. So that was my first focus. My second focus was growing the team. So we had enough budget to hire contractors to fill the gap while I hired and started scaling the team. And then it's all about research operations. So making sure that the contractors and the new teammates had everything they need to deliver great research without being bogged down by the admin.
I like the researcher path of ask your way inside and map out the way how you want to do it. But so in preparation for this, you shared with me that recently a leadership team got to you okay, we have this AI big thing. We don't know what exactly we want with AI, but we want you to do it.
Yeah.
So that was the brief that you got, right? So talk us all about that, how you received that brief, what went through your mind, and what were the first steps that
Yeah,
you
I
took?
have a whole talk on this, so I'll kind of condense it because I'm not going to talk to you for 20 minutes. But I think before I jump into it, I think one thing that I want to make clear to everyone here, especially if you're a leader leading a team or a department, is if you feel like you're behind, that's a good thing. Because one, it shows that you're self-aware. And two, it shows that you care enough to want to do something. And I've been coaching a lot of senior leaders in their AI strategy, and so many of them feel embarrassed that they're not further ahead. So if you feel like you're behind right now, you're not alone is the number one thing. And then in terms of being told like, hey, go figure out this AI strategy, come back to me. What I did is I think one thing about me is I've been working in R&D for over a decade with engineers and data scientists. So I've developed AI technology. I have 4 patents, 3 of them are in AI tech. But when I was asked this question, I didn't know how to answer it, right? So I kind of muddled through it. But in the end, I figured out like a framework that I can share with everyone here and everyone listening. So in terms of AI strategy, especially for your team to change behavior, you have to kind of shift your thinking that it's not about software and it's not about a tool. It's actually so much about digital transformation. So we've gone through the waves of the internet. We've gone through from physical branches to digital apps, those kind of things. And this is just like the next wave of a transformation. So you can't think of like, we'll get them the software, get them some training, job done, everything's going to be fine. It's like this huge cultural shift. So you have to acknowledge that you're going to need resource and time to do it. And what I figured out was in terms of having an AI strategy that actually gets buy-in from your team, that changes behavior, it comes down to 3 core things. The first one is your processes. The second one is your tooling. And the third one is your people and your culture. So in terms of processes, the easiest thing you can do, and it'll take you like a few hours, is get together with your team and map out your end-to-end process. So when your team gets a new brief, what do you do? What do you do? Like, what do they do? Break it down in small chunks, and you'll be able to find experiments right away. For us, when we broke down the research workflow, the end-to-end thing, we found it really easy to experiment in the front end. So, competitor analysis, desk research, literature reviews, that was really easy to get going. So map out your process and find those experiments. The second one in terms of tooling is we had I created like a 2-prong approach to tooling because as a bank, it takes us a very, very long time to get approved tools. So the first track is if you're lucky enough to have an approved tool, make sure to put your hand up to be the first one in the entire company to like try it and pilot it, because once it gets going, it's really hard to get on that list afterwards. You're just on this long wait list. So if it's internal, that's amazing because what your team has now is an enterprise AI tool. That means that it's supposed to, well, let's hope that all enterprise tools stay in the sandbox. So whatever you put in, if it's customer data or even company IP, it stays within the sandbox. It doesn't go up to the larger training models. So that's really important. If you have it, you can go full speed ahead, put in exactly what you're working on. But the second one, which we had to move with a lot more caution, is unapproved tools. So just because it's not approved doesn't mean my team shouldn't be touching it. So what we did was you can use unapproved tools, but in a vague way, very generic. So type whatever your prompt is, type it out. And then the question everyone on the team has to ask is, can this be traced back to my team or my company? If the answer is yes, like, well, you gotta parse it back and make it really generic. But if it's like, no, actually, this is pretty generic. It's like just about trends, changing behavior, like a theme, then go ahead and use it. Like you got to try it out, even if it's not approved, because you need to know the mechanics of it, where it goes wrong. And you can still learn something, even if it's not specific to your workflow. So that's the second one in terms of tooling. Have an approved, which is safe, and you can add customer data, and an unapproved tool, which is much more generic and more for personal learning. And the third one is the toughest one, or I would say the one that people ignore the most, is your people. Because a lot of people are feeling nervous, scared, dread around AI, and they're feeling quite isolated and they're very scared. What does that mean for their job? They're feeling a loss of control. So they're feeling very isolated. So what you can do as a leader is to set up this culture of experimentation and make it fun and social and collaborative. So instead of one person opening up Terminal for the first time in their life for Cloud Code, what you can do is like get together in a very regular operating rhythm. For us, we got together every single Friday for like the entire year. And we just shared our learnings. Like, I did an experiment here. This is where it didn't go right. This is where it really excelled. AI is not ready for this part of our workflow. And everyone becomes an expert. And it's like this fun, you're part of this learning culture. And every week, we understand AI through shared learning. So AI can do this. It absolutely can't do this yet. And we kept on experimenting. And my team really surprised me because originally they didn't want to do anything with AI. But then after we made it kind of this like cultural part of our learning culture, they came up with all these crazy things that I didn't even ask them to do. Like, oh, I'd like to use AI to create like a jobs to be done framework for analysis of jobs to be done surveys. Like this really complicated thing that would take us days and weeks. So they were able to distill it into much simpler terms. So yes, just to summarize, understand your processes and find those experiments. The second one is you can still use unapproved tools, but use them safely. And the third one is how can you make AI a much more social, collaborative, like non-isolating experience.
Should make our job really easy.
Well, let's double click. Maybe I'll just start with the workflows and the process. So you met with your team, you set up a meeting, you went through the workflow or a typical task, or I imagine a range of typical tasks. How did you identify the key points for optimization? And how did you, I guess, drive that over time in terms of, say, we are going to focus on this part of the task. What is the challenge for the team? What is the goal for them to achieve in terms of, is it a time reduction? Is it a level up, or in terms of the output itself and enhancement?
Well, you have to remember when we started our experiments, it was January 2024. So just a few months after OpenAI had launched GPT. So it was really at the Wild West. So when we mapped out our end-to-end research process, I wasn't too precious about like, we have to focus on analysis because the number one thing was to get people going. So what we did was we created little experiment cards, and that's exactly what we did. Like the hypothesis is if you use AI, we're expecting these kind of results. This is what we're expecting for ease of use, for time savings, for cost savings. And the last one is quality. Mm-hmm. So we kind of tracked our expectations and a hypothesis for that. And then we would report back on it. So naturally, people were more inclined to do the front end of the research process because it's easiest to do desk research, and analysis because it's a bit more complicated. Your prompting needs a lot of work. Then that came later, and we just kept building on it. So I wasn't too directive, and then coming and looking at the results from the experiments, then we can kind of refine and jump down into it. And then now, if I were to do it again, I would do similar, but because there's been so many changes and upgrades that you can actually get much more out of the analysis these days than you could 2 years ago. So I would, get your team to play and experiment where they're comfortable, and then probably hone in on the ones that are really crushing you, like taking up a lot of time for your researchers and market.
As soon as you found those efficiencies, I imagine you started doubling down, and that created a framework for you guys internally.
Yeah, I think it's very important when you're going through this AI transformation with your team is to, one, meet regularly, but two is document it. So, we had what we call a fig jam, which is like a whiteboard or Miro, where we were documenting all of our experiments. And then we moved, once we got a little bit more sophisticated and we're happy with our prompting, we moved all of our learnings to Confluence. And alongside that, it's like learn together, document it, but then we also shared it out. So we're teaching other teams like, hey, we're getting these kind of results and these kind of time savings. So other teams could come to us for help and for expertise. So definitely learn together, definitely document it, and then definitely teach others, because then that kind of cements your team as like pioneers and like true experimenters.
Yeah, I like feel these days we have like these two big camps. Like first camp is like the people that sit like against it, right? Like against AI in all sorts of ways. It's going to remove whatever we love, and then you have the camp which is almost opposite from it, extreme optimism around it, and a little bit naiveness as well. Like they're like saying consulting is dead, software is dead, market research
Everything
is
is
dead,
dead.
everything
Yeah,
is
yeah.
dead. And it just like, I think it confuses a lot of folks because then they see like, oh, these guys are against it. Okay, that's great. Oh, but no, these guys are claiming that these guys are dead. And then you're just like not sure who is right. And it feels like these guys are the optimists are making it too good to be true, and they're a little bit not saying it how it's in the real world. It's not like it's amazing for a lot of things, but it's not that like easy. You put one prompt and you replace everything, right? So I'm curious the expectations when you start the shift. Of course, when you work with AI, on some things you get, and especially on a lot of things, on the first it looks amazing, right? And then you're like, oh my god, like it really is with this one prompt, this looks amazing. But then when you start to look at it, they're like, okay, it's not maybe that amazing.
Yeah.
So then you need to rework. So how did you manage expectation? Because I assume that they still need to do their core job, right?
Yeah.
They still need to perform the job. So how did you handle the expectations, the reality when the results are going to kick in? And first, when you got the roadblocks, when you couldn't get the results at those first experiments, how did you manage expectations and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing is when you start experimenting with AI, you don't save any time.
Yeah, you
You're
just lose
learning,
more
right?
time, right?
Yeah, so that was a bit difficult. So it was very, very intense because everyone was delivering at the same pace we normally do, learning together. So we didn't have any time savings. But one thing that did really help is because we're documenting everything, we could rate the quality. And because we're sharing, then we're doubling down on how quickly we're learning everything and really, like, once again, documenting what's not working. So that's important. And then as a organization, because we're part of a large corporate, what also helped is the organizational part of it. So having goals. So my whole team, we drafted up very specific goals that we wanted to achieve with AI in that quarter. So you have your regular workflow and the intensity of that, but we also had very clear goals on what we wanted to achieve. So one person worked on synthetic personas, another one did like a core analysis. So everyone knew what they wanted to get out of AI in addition to any extra learnings they could have for the team. So in that way, we could performance manage. So it created like a motivating factor, and we remained clear on like what each person wanted to achieve. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. So, okay, so you created the expectations. So you give it a bit of time. It's not like, oh, we are going to do it in 1 week, right?
Yeah.
Like you need to give a certain amount of time. Yeah. Okay.
Well, let's go into the second pillar. So the tools and selection of tools. I love what you said about your dual-pronged approach, but maybe focusing on that experimentation angle. How did you approach that? Firstly, did you devote a specific percentage of your time and effort in looking for these new tools from, I imagine, smaller companies? And I think the second question there is, there's so many different research tools incorporating AI, using AI out there. How do you even start looking for the right solution? How do you know that a vendor will actually deliver on what you need to be?
That's a very good question. And I think in the beginning, because we laid out the process, we knew exactly what steps we wanted to experiment in. So if somebody was, say, doing desk research, then they could pick the top 5, Perplexity, Gemini, all those things, and experiment. And then some niche ones for literature reviews. So that, I guess we kind of parsed it out. Like one person took care of that experiment, another person took care of synthetic personas, for example, another person took care of analysis. So we just split it up and did the tooling that way. We spoke with a lot of vendors, and yeah, kept on trying to do as many small pilots as possible within the frameworks of the bank and making sure we had the right security and the privacies in place so we could run small pilots. But it is really, really overwhelming. And this is where you have to lean on your community, or else like, where do you start? Right? Like for AI moderated interviews, for example. One thing that helped me was I was part of an AI and research cohort, like with a course, and I was able to meet other research leaders, and the professor was really, really good. So that was another way just to help you cut through the noise, because they gave you like examples of different software to try.
So a network and word of mouth rather than searching on Google or even asking within ChatGPT.
Yeah, you can do that as well. To give you a start.
Regarding the culture, so I'm sure you had at least one person on the team who resisted it from the start. And I also had the experience when you would suggest someone that they use AI, and then they come back like, you see, I tried it. It's not there.
Yeah.
I really tried. So how did you overcome the first resistance?
Yeah.
I'm sure there was at least one person, right?
Well, for me, it was everyone.
Everyone.
So it was very difficult. But the thing is, we made it like a social thing, and everyone had a go. So once we started experimenting, then everyone was bought in, because even the most staunch disprover was like, oh, actually, I found this and it was quite interesting. If you kind of change this, you get this result. So then everyone was able to contribute. I think for the people that like try it, it wasn't very good. My goal for my team, and something that you can bring to your teams, is I want everyone to be hypercritical of AI. So like you said, the polarizing people, I want my team and everyone in my organization to be hypercritical. So you understand exactly where AI is good in your workflow and exactly where it falls down. So I am an AI skeptic, even though I am pushing for AI transformation. I'm a skeptic because it's always important to remain vigilant and critical. And you're always going to have your own hypothesis before, trusting all the data. You're always going to have to go back into the raw data. So for those people that are resistant, it's like, that's great. It didn't work. I think that's fabulous. What didn't work about it? Let's document this. Let's share this back with the team, and on to the next experiment. What do you want to experiment with next? And the whole point is to understand where it's falling down and where it isn't. You can't just believe it's good at everything, because it absolutely isn't. But if you get everyone on your team to feel in control of AI, in the sense that I can control what I do with it and where it's good and know better, then that's how you convert people. Because the fact that it didn't work for them, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah. And then the next part of it, did you had any experiences that part of the team had the fear, okay, if we automate all this work that we do, what are we going to do when that's all done? Did you had some fears like that shared by the team?
Yeah. And I think that's a fear that's pervasive, and it doesn't go away. And so I had an example where one of my researchers found that a product owner in the company was going to onboard or try to pilot with an AI moderator. And she's like, oh my gosh, I have to go in there and stop him at all costs. And it's like, no. Let's go work alongside him and let's make this a partnership, because I don't know if this is a good metaphor, but okay, imagine us as research people, like insights people. Imagine we're race car drivers, right? Just because anyone on the street can buy a race car doesn't mean they want to drive it at the maximum speed, So
Yep.
if you can be in the car with them and give them the guidance, you're still in control. So I think, I don't know what's going to happen with the economy. I don't know what's going to happen with restructures, but if we can be alongside our company and be partners in whatever AI iterations come, that's the only thing that's in our control. And if they restructure, they restructure. At least we know exactly where AI is good at, and we'll take that to our next company.
But I imagine that's part of OKR setting as well for your team. So I like how you introed people to it in a very friendly way. Let's explore, let's do it on Fridays. But imagine that was the carrot, but the stick also came over time, right? If you're not optimizing your workflows and you're not delivering tasks iteratively faster, how did you navigate that through OKR setting, goal setting for your team?
Because we had the experiment card, so we had a very good data points on how much time it was saving. But we've already learned this with AI, is like, even if you find efficiencies in your workflow, the work never ends. So our team was being more effective, but that just meant that they had more impact on their projects. They were able to deliver on whatever projects came our way. So we didn't have any like a negative consequence of using AI in the sense that we weren't able to deliver something. Any gains we made, it meant that the project teams, my researchers could spend more time with their stakeholders, with their product owners, helping them make the right decisions and building stronger relationships. So any time savings was always reinvested back in the projects to deliver the right results. So I think it worked out for us, and it all starts with that experimentation card and tracking and documenting everything.
And do you see the key skills that you look at for in a project candidate evolving over time with this? Now
Yeah.
AI is a friend.
Yeah, I think for me, as in like my researchers, especially with user experience researchers, I see the whole landscape of it changing. I was talking to my old leadership coach, Phil Morton. He has a blog. He has a newsletter called Death Notes. But I think we as an industry, like where you are today, you have to understand what does your team deliver? Everyone here wants to believe that our job is to deliver customer insights that like reflect core customer needs, so then our company can succeed. And although that is true, you have to actually hone down to a much more tangible layer. So for me, working in financial services as part of a human-centered design center of expertise, actually, although we want to help the business build and launch the right thing, at the end of the day, we're supporting the business to create production-ready code that can go into the apps, can get into the hands of customers. So I think everyone here, you have to really think about what value do you actually deliver that's tangible beyond shaping, because a lot of us right now, we help to create blueprints for creating a product or a service or a feature, and then that gets sent over to engineering to get coded and launched. But we're going to see a shift as engineering gets much more efficient with agents and everything, that they're able to move further into design and research one day. So I want our research and design teams to move further up and get a little bit more comfortable with code, so you're just ready for whatever the future has.
Shortly, we're going to turn to the Q&A. So prepare the questions and the AI. We have the book. But I love there was recently, I think last week, there was shared a viral post. I think Alia, you shared it as well. There was a team who used AI to report the really important stuff, like from the last year, and they it looked like the AI was giving false things all the time, and it has like huge impacting on the decisions they make and stuff like that. So I think this year we are going to see a lot of amazing stuff built by AI, but we hope we are also going to see the first year a lot of flops caused by AI, which I think will stir a lot of good fun for us to see. But yeah, before we turn to the Q&A, one more question that I have. You are active on LinkedIn. So wanted to hear why a client-side researcher who has 16 years of experience, I'm sure that you will do quite well without the LinkedIn as well. So why do you post on LinkedIn?
That's such a good question. Why not? Should be the question.
Not? Okay.
But yeah, I'll be honest with you. I wrote a series about like getting started on LinkedIn. And for me, I was put on a really difficult project. I mean, all the odds were stacked against us that we could succeed. And I was like, I need a plan B. So I started writing on LinkedIn in case this project like went off the rails. Yeah, because you always need a plan B. Yeah. And the crazy thing is I started writing. I really enjoyed it. My first series was inspired by Beyonce's Cowboy Carter. It had just released. And I did a whole series on Cowboy Carter and how you can use Beyonce to show the value of UX research. It went pretty well. But anyway, I started writing, and then I wrote another series about using Dune to help you get hired for your next role. And the crazy thing is I started building this writing muscle, and the project that I was on that was so difficult, I turned it around. It was a success. Nice. And it was, I got the managing director sat me down and he said, I thought it was unsalvageable project, but you proved me wrong. So that's how hard it was. And then I turned the project around, and now I started writing on LinkedIn. So I didn't stop.
Okay. Okay. Amazing. Okay, we are open for the Q&A and the questions. Who will have the first one? Paul, yes.
Thank you so much. Really super speech and hearing kind of, your real examples of kind of how you're doing this. I was talking to somebody in a similar role to you in one of the big pharma businesses recently, and they were talking about how the research process is changing. So historically, they did primary research, then they did data analytics, and then they did secondary research to kind of before making decisions. And he was saying because of the AI, they've transformed. So they now do the secondary research first because they've got access to all this repository of data that they probably weren't leveraging. Then moving to data analytics, and then doing primary research at the end to ratify decisions and things. Within the banking sector, are you seeing a similar shift in the value chain of how primary research or UX research is being used in that decision-making process?
Yeah, so with AI, one of our big unlockers and a big part of the bank was how do we share all the insights that exist? Because we have many different businesses and franchises, and it's not just UX research, but it's market research, it's economics, it's climate, it's everything, right? So one of the big breakthroughs this year is we had an AI-powered insight repository. So everyone is able to do much more sophisticated desk research. And before this, we had this repository. It was just like, who do you know? They'll get back to you in a few days. Maybe you'll get the report if they can find it. So I think having an AI-powered repository has made our secondary research and desk research so much better. And also it has the names of the authors, so you can kind of catch up really quickly. And because we're able to kind of de-risk and understand the problem space and the behaviors that exist, we're able to jump into the primary research much quicker with much better hypothesis, better discussion guides, because you already have a clear idea of where the behavior is today.
Thank you.
I can go next.
Yeah.
Thank you for the talk. That was really interesting and a lot for us to kind of mull over. You mentioned in some of your previous roles that one of your objectives is scaling research teams, but obviously AI has provided so many efficiencies. How do you actually create a business case to bring more people in when you realize actually you are at capacity when AI has created a narrative that you're super effective and efficient?
That one is really, it's really tough to answer. And yeah, it does really feel like a double-edged sword. I think getting headcount is always difficult and something that you have to fight for. What we've done is to always have a really strong understanding of the company OKRs. So what does the company see as success, and how does having an extra researcher push us towards those metrics and that bottom line? So for example, if we have a new focus area or a new segment that we want to go after, well, if you have a researcher, that means that although we have these efficiencies with AIs, we're getting the gains through this channel, but because we have this new focus area with the researchers there, we can anticipate these kind of gains. It's just as hard as it used to be with getting headcount, and then with AI, it just means that actually, although you might be doing things faster, the work doesn't stop, and if anything, it comes in faster. So that's probably one thing I've noticed in the last 2 years is the scale of the transformation is faster than ever. People have new priorities, new segments, new features, more than I've ever seen in my career. So with that kind of speed, you need more people to keep up, I would say.
Thank you.
We still work the same time, right?
Yeah.
Where are those efficiencies? Come on, efficiencies. Okay, next question. Do we have next question? Ross, yes.
Thanks, Marianne. Great session, thanks very much. What are the best and worst AI-powered outputs that you've seen, sorry?
Oh, do you mean oh my gosh, okay. I've done a lot of training. And the worst input is, guess how many words are in the average prompt?
7.
9, yeah. It's do this for me. But the prompts that get the best results, guess how many words are in there?
27.
Yeah, like 30. So like the more clear and specific you can get. So I've seen a lot of bad prompts. And there's just little things like you can save prompts in most of the software. So do that. You can have a team prompt gallery thing. Do that. And then my favorite thing that has been really quite interesting is meta prompting. So you can do for example, you can do a meta prompting that walks you through creating a discussion guide from scratch. That's pretty interesting. My team have seen a lot of success with using AI to analyze open text questions in surveys. So an AI to analyze this question 800 times, that's been a huge time saver. Instead of a few days, it can do it in a few hours with the researchers' oversight. So that's been a good win.
What about the outputs themselves?
Yeah, the outputs are good in the sense that the researchers are still doing their regular workflow, but then they have, like, for example, they're still doing the thematic analysis and just understanding the direction of the insights, but you can use AI to pull up quotes, which saves a lot of time. You can use AI for frequency counting, so it doesn't take away from the researcher's nuance in understanding the gestures and the behaviors and what they actually meant when they said X, Y, Z. But getting the quotes, getting the word frequency, that's been really good. And also, like the output, I've tried a certain company's output for presentations, and it's always bad. Like I'm very good at prompting, but it's so bland and generic and kind of stupid. So I haven't been very impressed with the presentation outputs.
So I use a lot of voice for prompts. Probably the prompts are the only thing in this world where more is better, right? So yeah, like use your voice, right? Yeah, as well. Sorry.
I was just gonna ask a fun one, like.
Fun one.
Yeah.
So are you alluding that the ones before were not fun?
Yeah, this one's fun. Like, what's your just for day to day for people working, but also personal life? Like, I'm mainly thinking like ChatGPT or Gemini. Like, which one's your favorite?
Oh, no way.
Claude, right?
Yeah. Gotta go. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think their ethics and their safety is like a little bit better than the others, and also the writing is always better. So, and then the Cloud Code. Yeah, they're not perfect, and no multi-billion-dollar company is, but they're just like tiny.
Any other, or we can wrap up. Okay, I think we can wrap up. Lynn, which was the best question?
I think it was Kate, because it was hard to answer.
Okay, very good. So Kate won the book. We will hand end of the book after the event. But thank you so much. It was amazing speak, and thank you everyone who was with us tonight. Thank you.